Right, let's talk about Manchester United, shall we? And speak to the PA's chief football writer, Simon Peach. How you doing, Peachy?
I'm good. I'm really relieved. I'm really relieved to hear you talking about Luton Town. You're very on brand.
Yeah, always. The only thing I'm not doing today is wearing orange. How is it? I hope you're not too orange/red down in, although it's winter, isn't it, over in Australia at the minute. But how's it been down under? Because you've been following Manchester United on their pre-season tour in Thailand and Oz. How have they been coming across?
It's been very cold and wet, so I'm definitely not going to be orange. I've been pretty impressed, to be honest. I know Erik Ten Hag's been pretty good. You can see the fingerprints of what he's been working on the training field in the performances, and they've had some good results this evening over here. Anyway, they drew 2-2 with Aston Villa, and he wasn't very happy, saying it was unacceptable for them to blow a 2-goal lead. But that's probably been the only real drawback. There's not been any injuries, and players have been performing pretty well.
Where do you feel that realistically Manchester United fans can expect their team to finish this season? Because Spurs are looking stronger, Chelsea are getting players in as well, Arsenal are going to be stronger.
Well, in all honesty, and not to dodge the question, I think I'll be able to give you a better answer in 5 weeks, because Erik Ten Hag has been very open, saying that they need reinforcements if this is going to be a successful season. I've been really impressed with what he's done with the people he has now. He only had one new signing, Tyrell Malacia, a left-back who's been good, but isn't the area where they needed to strengthen on this tour. They've got Lisandro Martinez coming in. Eriksen's arrived. They want another midfielder, at least one more midfielder, a striker, a versatile forward. Ideally, I think they want. So I think once they've done those signings, we'll know more. And if they haven't done those signings, then I'm going to be a lot more negative. I think they can reach top 4, though, this season.
How has Erik Ten Hag come across when you sat down and interviewed him, spoken to him in press conferences and everything, Peachy? Because he really feels like a proper disciplinarian and is going to take absolutely no nonsense this season.
Oh, yeah, and he hasn't taken any nonsense from a journalist. And I just mean in the sense of, if you give him a closed question, he'll give you a one-word answer. He's not afraid to do that, even though he's speaking his second language. I've been really impressed with him. I think the players are going to be worked very hard. He's very meticulous and demanding from what we've seen in the training. And I don't think he's going to be very much an arm around the shoulder. It's going to be, do what I tell you to do and we'll get success. And if they start well, I think it's going to go really well. But that's a big if. So I have been very impressed with what I've seen, but this is pre-season. The real work starts on August 7th.
Getting some of the kind of bigger characters, if you like, and, you know, it potentially may include Cristiano Ronaldo if he doesn't come back. But the likes of Paul Pogba, for example, Edinson Cavani, like big names in the dressing room who perhaps, if they're not on board with a new manager's way of thinking, might voice that opinion. How important is that he's perhaps got some of those characters out?
Yeah, well, obviously he didn't get them out, they're out of contract, but I know what you mean. I think he will need more malleable players. I think you saw that when, for example, a Pochettino at Tottenham, when he went in there, he had young, hungry players. I think United, while they might not be as young, they've got hungry players because they've had such a terrible season last season. And a lot of them have been written off or heavily criticised. Your Marcus Rashfords, your Anthony Martial's, players like that. Martial, I think most people would have been surprised to see him in a Manchester United shirt again in January. And he's scored 3 goals, started all 4 matches out here. So it's that kind of thing that I think he'll do well at. With Cristiano Ronaldo, that's the $1 million question. He tweeted at halftime this evening a picture of him training in what appeared to be Manchester United shorts. Goodness only knows what that means. But that's going to have to be something he finds out when he goes back to England now, because that is a big cloud hanging over United.
Simon, I don't feel like Manchester United fans can rely on Martial. You know, he has spells where he's good and he has spells where he's a 1 out of 10. You know, that's not going to get Manchester United top 4 football. Who can Manchester United go out there and sign? Because you don't know what's going to happen with Ronaldo. What if Ronaldo does go? But even if he stays, I feel like they still need one more striker.
I agree. They do, definitely. And Erik Ten Hag would tell you the same thing. The issue, as you'll know, is there's not that many elite out-and-out strikers that are available this summer, it feels like. And I know maybe that's because they were slow to do business. Maybe that's something you could criticise United for. But it sounds like if they do make a signing, it'll be someone who's more versatile, that can play out wide. But yeah, I mean, they clearly do need another front man. And even assuming Ronaldo comes back into the fold. So yeah, that's something they're going to have to work on in the next few weeks, and the midfield as well.
What I found quite interesting, Peachy, is they all now seem to be coming out and being quite honest, and clearly following Erik ten Hag's, last season was unacceptable. You look at the David De Gea interview that's in the Times today and other places as well. Last season was a disaster, worst season I've had at the club. I was embarrassed sometimes. Some games were a mess. It was painful. Headline. But honestly, the honesty coming out is probably something that Manchester United fans will appreciate a little bit more, and maybe they've looked at it from a communications point of view that actually that's the best way to address it. Last season was a disaster. We rip up and we start again.
Well, you are actually echoing what I was kind of thinking. You cover England with me, Faye. You know how open the England national team have become in the last few years. They have put up more players than any tour I've done previously. And that's off the back of their worst points tally in Premier League history. So there does feel that there's an acceptance and a chance to kind of put these. I mean, I'm sure some fans are bored of hearing the same old thing. We're learning under Erik. We're enjoying it. We're really sorry for last season. Blah blah blah. But it is good that they are being open and not shying away from it, in my opinion. So maybe it is a structural change that they're looking at. But yeah, Erik's the man driving everything, and he's been very hands-on with so many different departments. I wonder if he's even thought about it or put into action some of those things.
How important is it that the narrative changes around Manchester United? As you say, it doesn't matter what goes on pre-season. It's that opening game against Brighton at home that's going to, really put down the marker. It's so key, isn't it, that they kick off with a win?
Yeah, and Erik ten Hag said similar. For those that are unaware, the second match in Melbourne a few days ago, Harry Maguire was booed by a large amount of the crowd at the start of the match, and that gradually subsided with what was a good performance from him. And when I asked Erik ten Hag about it yesterday, he basically said, well, they won't boo you if you're playing well. And that seems to be how he views changing the narrative. You'll change a narrative by being a successful, coherent, exciting to watch team. Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say. It will take time for Erik ten Hag to be a success, you'd think, in terms of getting them to play in the strategy we want, especially without some of the key positions filled that he would like. But there is progress there, and he's talking a good game, and it will be interesting to see if they can follow it up in the Premier League.
Simon, the talk about De Jong is that he doesn't want to come to Manchester United, and everyone's got their different view on this. People are saying it's about the wages, he hasn't been paid yet. Other press from Spain are saying he just doesn't want to come to Manchester United. He prefer Bayern Munich, staying at Barcelona or Chelsea before Manchester United. Do you have any info on this?
Well, my feeling is, surely, and I know Manchester United have been led down the garden path in years gone by certain players, but surely United wouldn't have gone and put in all this legwork and done all this work if he wasn't interested at all. There is obviously that wage issue. He's owed a substantial amount of money by Barcelona. That does need sorting. And I just feel like that is the main roadblock. If they have ended up doing all this legwork to not get him, I think that's crazy. But we're just going to have to wait and see on that, because this has been going on for 10 weeks now, I think it is. And I don't see a quick resolution to it. The only positive is it's 5 weeks until the deadline, so at least we can finally box that away by then.
Yeah, it does feel like we're on repeat, doesn't it? A little bit. Well, as is always the case pre-season. Anyway, it feels a little bit like we're all on repeat. But what are Manchester United's movements next? Are they heading to Oslo? Is that right?
Yeah, so Manchester United have flown back now. They're in the air right now on the way back from Perth via a pit stop in Bangkok for some fuel. They will then have, I believe, Monday off, which is probably well-deserved given the hard work they put out here and the jet lag. They'll then be training. Some of the team will go to Oslo the next day. They're playing Rayo Vallecano. They're playing Atletico Madrid in Oslo, of course. And then they're playing Rayo Vallecano at Old Trafford the following day, Erik ten Hag's first match as manager there. It'll be interesting to see the split. It would make sense for Ten Hag to play a strongest 11 against Atletico, because obviously they're a superior team, and he has been keen out here to play his best, what you would assume is his best 11 as a starting team. So, yeah, chances for players to get minutes. Some players haven't played much, if at all, out here. So maybe one of those games will give them a chance to impress Ten Hag away from training sessions in a match situation.
Brilliant stuff. Peachy, thank you so much. Always great to talk to you.
Have a good one.
Simon Peach there, the PA's chief football writer.